Well, hello, Chad. It's been a while since I was able to sit here with you. What have you been doing
Oh, it's been a busy summer, buddy.
this summer? Well, we're back here doing another podcast today, and we have another employee of the Erie Police Department, or actually she works at the Erie Police Department, and she's in the new position of a co-responder. And you know what a co-responder is?
Well, I did not until just about a couple hours ago. So
Yeah, well, that's the way with me. I didn't know what a co-responder was. But we have with us today Melissa Richardson, and she is a co-responder, and I believe she'll be able to tell us all about it. And I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say.
Me too. Me too. You know, mental health is obviously a big topic outside of some other major news stories going on in the world. But mental health is a big thing going on right now. And co-responders are really there to help law enforcement and the community with mental health response. So, but I'm not going to try to tell or explain what Melissa's role is. I think we're going to let Melissa tell us exactly what her role is. But we know it's an important role, and we're excited to have her here. So, you know, Melissa Richardson, Erie Police Department co-responder. Welcome to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about what is a co-responder, what do you do, and how did you get into this role?
Yeah. Well, co-responders have backgrounds in mental health and behavioral health. So that can look many different ways depending on what you got your education in or anything like that. I specifically got my master's degree in counseling and then went on to be a counselor, got 2 licenses. One is licensed professional counselor and one is a licensed addiction counselor. And got experience in clinical supervision and worked in community corrections and residential facilities, and then came here. I have a twin sister who is in law enforcement. She's a police officer in San Antonio. So this job really paired my 2 passions for justice and mental health, and honestly is a dream job for me. So the beauty about co-responders is we get to work with law enforcement. It's definitely a partnership, and it's taking both of our skills and working together as a team and going out to different calls, and whatever's occurring, we can help each other out with those people to best serve the community.
I was going to say, I'm still not clear on how you get involved with a situation. Does the officer call you, or do you listen on the broadcast and pick your own, or how does it work? I'm not sure how that does.
So every place is different. Since I'm specifically assigned to Erie, which is nice, I'm not all over the county like the other corresponders, I can ride along with officers. So sometimes I'll just go to a call with them in their patrol car, whether it's me being like, hey, that sounds like a mental health call, or them being like, hey, Melissa, hop in, you're coming with. So those are the options. The other thing is we're also dispatched to a specific 911 app on our phones for work, and so dispatch will actually call us out to call.
So what brought about the town to bring on a co-responder?
Well, there is a community task force that came together, and they realized, hey, this is something we need and we want. We need our own co-responder, not just working with multiple Boulder County co-responders, because they realize like they're not on site as much. So that was a need, is someone who's present specifically at the Erie Police Department to assist more often and have that consistency and just more of availability in general. So after that, the community task force came to the board of trustees and was like, hey, we need this. This is why. Please do this. Please fund this position. And they did.
I think it's a
like,
great
voila.
recommendation.
Yeah.
So we had Justin Brooks on. He was part of that task force, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kudos to them for making that recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Since you've joined, what are some of the things that you see in the Erie community that really require a co-responder?
Well, the main calls I've been to are pertaining to mental health in general. So that would be the highest call volume. And then you have, our second is domestic disturbances. So that doesn't mean like they were charged with domestic violence necessarily, but it's classified as a disturbance in some manner. So that's going to a home, whether it's between a couple or a family, whatever it is, and there is a disturbance of some kind. So we'll help mediate that situation. And then the third is parenting. So just parents needing help with kids who have behavioral issues, whether that's autism or some other developmental disorder or other behavioral issue.
So as I'm following this and trying to understand exactly what you do, so you are called to a scene or dispatched to a scene or asked to go to a scene, and then your job will be to maybe help de-escalate the situation along with the police officer and provide a different point of view, or do I get that right?
Yeah, so I'll give an example, which is, so I also have experience with human trafficking work. That's another big thing that I've just worked with many different anti-human trafficking organizations. So my first day in Erie, my first ride along with one of the officers, we go out and it was just a suspicious person. That's what it was. It's like, okay, just some solicitor going door to door. So it took us a while and we found this girl, a 19-year-old girl. As soon as I noticed her, I was like, she's being trafficked. And the officer's like, how do you know? I'm like, watch, I'll explain and I'll show you the signs. So we go and we're interviewing her and I'm asking very specific questions to get information, but also try to offer that resource for her to get out of it. So that's just an example of sometimes with our expertise, we can see things that officers aren't trained to see.
Of course.
And there's things I'm not trained to see either. And they help me. Like, hey, that's actually not a safe place to stand, Melissa. I'm like, got it. Okay, stay behind me, please. I'm like, okay, I'll stay behind you. And I will wear my bulletproof vest. So those type of things.
I think you bring up a really interesting point, which is, we've all seen the stories about human trafficking, but we don't think about it being in our own backyard here at Erie. And it certainly can be. And you've illustrated that. So you also talked about sort of tactical response to calls. And are you going through training with the Erie PD or with Boulder County Sheriff or something to help you better respond or better position yourself in these calls and stuff? Or what kind of training do you go through from a law enforcement side versus just the mental health / addiction, crisis intervention type stuff that you do?
Well, the defensive tactics is offered to us as well. I've yet to take it because it has been rescheduled multiple times due to different scheduling issues and COVID and all sorts of stuff like that. So I will probably do it with both the Erie PD and the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. So just getting both of those and even speaking to the training sergeant at EPD and being like, hey, what?
I think we know that guy.
Yeah, you do. So, and I got to ask him a few weeks ago, actually, of like, what do you think I should do? And he's like, here's all our trainings. Which ones would you like to do? I'm like, okay, great. So hopefully in the near future, we will get moving on like me going and doing those trainings as well.
So if I understand correctly too, you're a Boulder County employee and Erie funds your position here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Which is a huge benefit because the county is obviously huge and they have a lot of different resources and benefits and things like that. And it offers this overarching supervision, consultation, program management type. So the model would be you have this core in Boulder County and then you have all these smaller communities and you can place corresponders. So I'm the first one to launch this model. And then the hope is that we're going to do it in Lafayette. We're going to do it in Nederland, Lyons. So we'll start doing one specific corresponder in each of these communities. And you still come back and you have an overarching clinical team. And you have the management, you have the supervision, everything that happens there, and those access to the resources. So it's a really nice balance on the unity, the teamwork, and everything like that.
Do you think that plays a key role in your relationship, not only with the law enforcement agencies, but also the community you work in?
Absolutely, because it creates that connection with, there's all these different resources within the county. So you have like these intensive adolescent programs that we can partner with. So whenever we have a kid in Erie, for example, that's having behavioral issues or whatever they're struggling with, I know exactly who to contact in Boulder County. And because we work for the same entity, it's a lot easier, it's a lot smoother process.
Sure. Bill had asked a question about how this is funded. Is there state or federal funding available for these co-responder positions to help out, smaller communities like Erie?
So overall, co-responders, specifically in Boulder County, there's a a grant for the office from the Office of Behavioral Health. So that funded a ton of positions, and really the launching and development of the program. So that was a huge funding source. And then it's recognizing there's a need for more than 3 full-time corresponders in the entire county. But I mean, the city of Boulder, they have their own team, and then Longmont has their own team as well. But just still the rest of the county, that's a lot of square footage to cover with just 3 people. That's not possible.
Yeah.
So we're moving towards like recognizing that grant isn't going to fund the need fully. So it's relying on communities as well to help with that.
If you have a particularly busy day, do you have access to people in Boulder? Could they come and help a situation? Okay.
Yeah, so that's the other benefit is we have this cross coverage. So say I'm out on vacation, the other teammates will cover me, or maybe they're out on a call like in Netherlands, which takes a long time to get to. So they're really off the grid for a while. So
Right.
then we can help cover, the Boulder unincorporated areas or Lafayette, Superior, whatever is needed.
So we know that mental health has been a big topic of conversation, especially during the pandemic and stuff. What are some of the things that you're seeing here in Erie as far as the types of things that you're being asked to respond to? And what are some of the things that maybe we can look at as a community to sort of warning signs or, things that we can look at to say, man, we probably need to pay attention to this?
I think one of the biggest shockers for me is the issues with adolescents. And I know COVID's definitely had a huge impact on that, recognizing that adolescents in their development, peer support, and just looking to their peers to develop as a human is crucial. And so we look at the last year and a half when they were pulled out of schools, they were separated from their peers. So that's going to really impact that mental health. So we see that. I've seen excessive amounts of addiction with adolescents, which like full-blown addiction.
You're talking drug addiction and
Drug,
stuff?
alcohol. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Majority of adolescents have seen fentanyl, which is the leading drug for overdoses in the last year. So imagine like just at parties that your kids may go to, and they're seeing fentanyl, which is one of the most lethal drugs. So
Where are they getting access to this?
that's a great question. For some reason, it's so readily available and gets imported, and yeah, it's just out on the streets.
Yeah.
So it's very affordable, which I don't understand either, because it is so potent. But it's easy for like cutting other drugs too. So a lot of your drugs will have fentanyl in it. So that's a big deal, that addiction piece in adolescence. And then oftentimes that's because they're trying to deal with a mental health issue, like having suicidal thoughts, having severe depression. So I've been on a lot of calls regarding students, like the Safe to Tell that's in schools too, for students who are struggling or know somebody who's struggling with suicide.
Well, I think this is a great thing that you're doing for our community. I think it's a tremendous step that the town of Erie has taken in the Erie Police Department to bring somebody like yourself on board. We appreciate you taking some time to sit down with us and explain what a co-responder is, what you're here for. We know mental health is a huge problem, not just in Erie, but nationally. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that Erie has taken the steps to bring somebody in to help reduce some of that stuff, I think is a huge thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's been fun talking with you.
Yeah,
I
you
learned
too.
a lot today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, Melissa, thanks so much for joining us on Behind the Blue podcast. And we look forward to seeing you in the community and look forward to all the work you're going to do with us to help our mental health in our community. So,
yeah.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
Well, Bill, I really enjoyed that interview with Melissa. Learned a little bit about what this new co-responder position is and how they're really addressing some of the mental health going on in society.
I was too, Chad. I'm really looking forward to the results of her interventions and her her being active with our community. I think it can have long-term effects positively.
Oh, I 100% agree. So thank you, Melissa, again for joining us. And with that, we want to bring our crime prevention tip of the month. So, Bill, what do you got?
Well, I've been driving around Erie here lately, for going here and there, of course. And there's a lot of construction, a lot of road work going on.
And we know that has brought out a lot of comments from the community
brought out a lot of
about maybe
comments.
the timing of said road construction.
Yes, but I always try to look at things on a positive side. I am really happy that Erie is maintaining our roads and doing the things that they have to do to deal with the traffic. But it can be frustrating at times, and especially for folks who have, kids to drop off to school and things like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a major road construction project going on in front of, two of the biggest schools in Erie right now. And as a parent,
Yeah.
and I see this and I see the frustration that, parents have, both parents trying to drop kids off and people that are just trying to get to or from, point A
Wherever
and
they're
point B.
going,
And I think it's very important that people remember that, everybody just needs to take a deep breath, slow down. There's kids, walking through this. There's construction workers that are trying to just do their job. And I think we all just need to, really pay attention. And through these construction zones, it will pass, right? But we really just need to, remember that, the town's just trying to do a project or
We're just trying to make the roads
5,000
better.
projects.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I agree. You just got to just take a deep breath and we don't want a child hurt or a kid run over or a construction worker injured.
Just because somebody's
Just
too
because-
impatient
Yeah.
and trying to get to where they're going. So
So let's just all work together on that and hopefully we can chuckle about it this time next year.
we hope so. And maybe this will be the last of the road construction for a little bit once it's all done.
That's
So
at least we'll have good roads.
right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please remember to like and follow us below and leave us a comment. Tell us what did you think about our interview with our co-responder Melissa, and what are the things that you want to see or hear about law enforcement here in our community of Erie.
We're open to any topics.
That's right. That's right. So we want to hear from you. So let us know. In the meantime, have a great start to fall. I can't believe it's fall already.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy. But we appreciate you guys watching and tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Great. Thank you. See ya.